So is Earth a prison planet and the moon a station for guardians? Isaac Asimov suggested a long time ago that the moon is not a natural astral body. All independent studies ever since backed Asimov's calculations, and it was proven beyond any reasonable doubt that the gravitational features of the moon are not just abnormal. They are the exact numbers required so that the moon does not escape from the Earth's gravity and be pulled towards the sun, as it should be, according to the law of universal gravitation. And taking under consideration the hundreds of unnatural phenomena that happen on the surface of the moon that NASA never bothered to reveal to the general public but have nevertheless been observed for centuries by independent observers, it may be assumed that the moon is constructed spacecraft and not a normal astral body. To mention a few of these observations, the moon is older than the Earth. Carbon dating shows the Earth is 4.6 billion years old and the moon is 5.3 billion years old. So how's that? The dust around the moon that is supposed to have come from weathering and the breakup of rocks on the moon's surface has a chemical composition that does not match the composition of the rocks on the moon itself. The dust itself is another billion years older than the moon. While the moon has no magnetic field, moon rocks are magnetized. There is evidence that the moon craters were created through internal procedures, but the moon has never been hot enough to create volcanoes. The moon is also hollow. The surface metals are heavier than the metals in the core. Usually the lighter metals are found on the surface and the heavy ones closer to the core. The surface metals are composed of 80% titanium. That much titanium does not exist in the entire planet Earth. There is seismic activity on the moon without corresponding meteor strikes or movement of tectonic plates. In fact, there was observation of eruptions with a reddish glow precisely identical and repeated, moving the moon closer to the Earth. This is from Nikolai Kozyrev, 1958, Lowell Observatory, 1963. Does this look like thruster firing to anybody? Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box. The above, along with myriads of other instances and theories, seem to indicate that the moon has been placed in Earth's orbit not by an act of random chance or nature or as a result of the application of any laws of astrophysics. A theory that moon was placed there as a shield for Earth from meteorites has been depicted, so let's accept this as a fact. And by whom? God. A weird space warp incident? Let's not focus on the shield part, let's focus on the it was placed there fact. So that theory accepts that someone placed the moon where it is, making the debate focus on the purpose. And based on certain facts, there have been more theories stipulated in various timelines which support the concept that our entire planet was created as a sort of an enclosure. According to one theory, it's a prison for the observation of our species. That's one theory. For another theory, Earth is a spiritual prison, putting aside the question mark on the sanity of the people who quoted these theories and the disqualifications for obvious reasons from the authorities responsible of doing so. So let's focus on the facts that these theories are based on. And let's keep an open mind about this, as it's only natural that when a theory is brought forward supporting something different than what was taught in school, most people dismiss it without even considering the evidence. 1. The Earth is an inherently an unstable planet. It cannot support habitation and sustain long-lasting civilizations. What facts support that statement? Continuous earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and other natural phenomena, quote-unquote, that supposedly demolish any civilization that advances too far ahead of its time, such as the Minoan civilization, Atlantis, Pompeii, Iran, Antioch, plagues in Eastern and Western Roman empires, etc. Is it logical to anyone that mankind tries to build on a foundation that is capable of destroying everything built on in a matter of seconds? Can there be any other reason than the possibility that may have no other option, like leaving there here and going somewhere else with more favorable conditions? 2, mankind is self-destructive. It's a bare fact that people cannot stand other people. Wars, attacks, raids, crime, anything imaginable from people to hurt others. Isn't this exactly what happens in a prison full of criminals, for example? And people are put behind bars when the crime is small-scale individuals and small groups, but large-scale incidents are recorded in history as significant events like the Crusades, World Wars, Revolutionary Wars, Civil Wars, Genghis Khan, Attila the Hun, and they are taught in the history books in schools. Does this make sense to anyone? 3, mankind is always driven by a higher force. Let's take a look at some of the great figures of history: Alexander the Great, Charlemagne, Barbarossa, Peter the Great, Ivan the Terrible, Mao Zedong, Joseph Stalin, Winston Churchill, Adolf Hitler, Benito Mussolini, Khmer Rouge, Genghis Khan, Attila the Hun, Julius Caesar, Francisco Pizarro, Franco, and the list goes on. And between them, 1 billion have been lost their lives from this. Yes, the figure is correct. 1 billion people in wars driven by a higher force. 1 billion souls in the name of higher force, replacing higher force with whatever name you prefer. So what is the best way to control prisoners? Allowing them to retain their gang structure inside. Aryan nation and triads, mafia, divide and conquer, the oldest trick in the book. 756,000 inmates in all the prisons in the world have lost their lives in gang feuds within the prison walls. And for what? An ideology, the way of doing things, a religion, an individual. Any similarities, anyone? So on the one hand, you have an extraterrestrial astral body placed in position by an unknown force or unknown forces with the exact properties required to stay there forever and with mysterious happenings observed on its surface. And on the other hand, you have a population that acts exactly like prison inmates. Is it wrong to assume that the astral body was placed there to guard the inmates? This was by Yanis on Humans Are Free, it's on Blended Reality. Please leave your comments on this, and thank you for your support. Now, it doesn't mean that because I'm giving this to you as an article that I agree with this. It's just something to debate and discuss. Thank you, and have a wonderful Christmas season and a Happy New Year. Hopefully, the new year will be better than the past one.